What if tomorrow morning, every single person on Earth woke up rich? No poverty, no debt, no financial struggles. Suddenly, everyone could afford their dream house, their dream car, anything they ever wanted. Sounds like the perfect world, right? But what if this one change triggered a chain reaction that nobody saw coming? A chain reaction capable of changing human civilization forever. So what would really happen if every human on Earth became rich? Chapter 1. The richest day on Earth. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that you're suddenly rich. Not just you, everyone, every worker, every student, every family, every country. Overnight, billions of people would become wealthy. Across the world, celebrations would erupt. People would quit jobs they hated. Debts would be paid off instantly. Luxury stores would be flooded with customers. And for the first time in history, poverty would seem to disappear overnight. Dreams that once felt impossible would suddenly become reality. Mansions, supercars, private jets, vacations around the world. Everything people spent their lives working toward would finally be within reach. It would feel like humanity had solved one of its biggest problems. But beneath the excitement, a question would quietly begin to emerge. If everyone can afford everything, who is going to provide it? Chapter 2. The shopping frenzy. At first, everything would seem perfect, but within hours, a new problem would begin to emerge. People wouldn't just be rich, they would all want the same things. Millions of people would rush to buy luxury cars. Millions more would start looking for bigger homes, expensive watches, designer clothes, private jets. The demand for almost everything would explode overnight. But there was one problem. The world wasn't prepared for billions of new rich people at the same time. There are only so many luxury cars, only so many beachfront mansions, only so many first-class seats on a plane. Suddenly, everyone would be competing for the exact same products. Stores would sell out within hours. Waiting lists would grow longer and longer. And for the first time, people would begin realizing something strange. Having money doesn't automatically mean you can get what you want, because no matter how rich humanity becomes, some things are still limited. Chapter 3. Nobody wants to work. As the days passed, another problem would begin to emerge. A problem far bigger than luxury cars or expensive houses. Work. After all, if everyone is already rich, why would anyone want to work a difficult job? Why wake up at 5 a.m. to collect garbage? Why spend long hours working on a farm? Why drive delivery trucks across the country? Why work in factories or clean hospitals? One by one, workers around the world would begin walking away from their jobs, and at first, most people wouldn't see a problem. But modern civilization depends on millions of people doing jobs that keep society running every single day. Farmers grow food, truck drivers transport it, supermarkets sell it, utility workers keep the lights on. Without them, the system begins to slow down. Then something unexpected would happen. People would still have money, but the things they wanted to buy would become harder and harder to find. Because wealth can create demand, but it can't create workers. And this was only the beginning. Chapter 4. The Great Shortage. By now, the effects would be impossible to ignore. Supermarket shelves would begin emptying, not because people were running out of money, but because the products themselves were running out. Farms would be producing less food, factories would be operating with fewer workers, and delivery networks would be struggling to keep up. For the first time, people would discover that wealth alone cannot keep a society running. You can't eat money, you can't drive money, and you can't build new products if nobody is making them. Across the world, shortages would begin appearing everywhere. Food, medicine, fuel, electronics. Even basic everyday items would become harder to find. And as supplies continued shrinking, competition for resources would become more intense. Suddenly, being rich wouldn't guarantee that you could get what you wanted, because the real problem was no longer money. The real problem was scarcity. Humanity had more wealth than ever before, yet somehow, life was becoming more difficult. And the worst part, the crisis was only getting started. Chapter 5. When money loses its meaning. For centuries, money has been one of the most powerful things on earth. It can buy food, homes, cars, almost anything. But now, something extraordinary would begin to happen. Money itself would start losing its meaning. Because money only works when it is scarce. The moment everyone becomes rich, being rich is no longer special. Imagine trying to buy a loaf of bread. You have millions. The person next to you has millions. Everyone in the store has millions. But there are only a few loaves left. Suddenly, money is no longer the most valuable thing. The bread is. Across the world, prices would begin rising at a terrifying speed. Not because products became better, but because there weren't enough products for everyone. Soon, people would start realizing that real wealth was never the numbers in their bank accounts. Real wealth was food, energy, resources, and the people capable of producing them. Humanity had become richer than ever before, yet somehow, money had never been worth less. And now, the world faced a question nobody had imagined. If money no longer matters, what comes next? Chapter 6: The New World. Eventually, humanity would be forced to adapt, because despite having more money than ever before, people would finally understand a simple truth. A functioning society cannot be built on money alone. It depends on workers, farmers, engineers, doctors, truck drivers, the millions of people who keep the world running every day. Slowly, governments and communities would begin searching for new solutions. Essential workers would become the most valuable people in society, not because they had the most money, but because they provided something money could no longer guarantee: food, energy, healthcare, and the skills needed to keep civilization alive. In this new world, wealth would no longer be measured by the size of a bank account, but by access to resources, knowledge, and the ability to create value for others. Humanity's obsession with becoming rich would finally collide with reality, because the greatest lesson of all was this: if everyone becomes rich, the world doesn't become wealthier. It simply discovers what real wealth was all along. So, what if every human on Earth suddenly became rich? At first, it might sound like the perfect world, but as we've seen, money alone can't keep civilization running. Because true wealth isn't just what's in your bank account. It's the people, skills, and resources that make society work every single day. And if thought experiments like this make you curious about economics, science, and the future of humanity, consider subscribing, because your support helps us continue creating documentaries like these.